What is going on, guys? As per usual, let me know if you can hear me fine. Just adjusting the mic a little bit. Big news day today. A lot of different things happened for basically cuts. We got to see a lot of who's going to be the fourth, fifth, sixth string wide receivers on all the teams. Seeing how many running backs different teams are keeping. Definitely have not gone through all of the news, but I've tried to get all of it together at least through like the last hour and being like, basically seeing how the bench players on teams can kind of be changed around a little bit, how everything is updated. Basically anything that happened before, 5 o'clock has been updated in the rankings. So that's all good to go. You guys can see that. There's a few things I've not done for the rankings, but pretty much everything else, pretty much everything I think has been done in the rankings. I can go over like a few. I don't know that I really retweeted everything, but yeah, the big one, I guess Marlon Mack got cut. Doesn't actually impact all that much for Dameon Pierce, but it kind of pushes like his security into like a 4th round pick. Obviously it gives you a lot more confidence in Rex Burkhead. That's one that gains definitely a lot of value. But I mean, realistically, Marlon Mack wasn't going to get that many touches before. It's just like that confidence. You just guaranteed, Dameon Pierce, Rex Burkhead are going to be on the field a ton. They don't have any talent behind those two. So that was the big one today. The 49ers kept 5 running backs. So that would be Elijah Mitchell as the one, and then Trey Sermon, Tyrion Davis-Price, Jordan Mason, and Jeff Wilson all kept, which kind of mutes your interest in all of the backups because it's like, they got 4 backup running backs. Like obviously Mitchell's the one, but how could you really have confidence in any of those backups of them keeping all that many? So definitely not in love with that. Positive news for Brian Robinson. He joined the team today. Still have no idea when he's going to return, but he was on the 53-man roster. At least as of right now, I haven't seen him go on any sort of IR. So I at least think the initial expectation is that he's going to be able to like potentially return early in the season. But again, we have no idea. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that one. But yeah, I didn't really retweet a ton of the things that happened for the news. I really just went in and, updated all the depth charts, but there's definitely more depth charts that need to be updated. So ask your questions. I'll try to get to all of those. We're going to pull up a draft here, private draft for you guys, and I will post it in the chat. There we go. We'll do a draft coming close to the start of the season. I mean, I don't know how many more drafts I'm going to enter. I'm surprised that they didn't do another puppy, and they're definitely not going to do another one that allows slow drafts. Like between now and the beginning of the year, there's not enough time to be doing slow drafts. I mean, from when that first puppy was a thing, I put a bunch into that one, and I'm still in slow drafts. Like I'm still in slow drafts from like that puppy, the Pomeranian, all that stuff. So I'm finishing up a lot of the drafts right now. I think I'm going to end up at like 75, and then from this point on, although I think the Best Ball Mania 3 is going to close soon, but it'll pretty much only be those. All right. Let us see what we can answer in the comment section before we get this thing started off here. Should I be concerned I ended up with Cousins and Irv Smith as my quarterback tight end combo in your 12 and 14 team leagues where quarterbacks score higher? Tough to answer that question without knowing what you mean by quarterbacks score higher. Does that mean it's like 6-point passing touchdown? Does that mean they get weird bonuses? Like what exactly does that mean? But no, I think Cousins is like a quality high end too. So like obviously you're going to be behind a lot of the teams that started off. Hold on a second. I want to pull up Twitter on the side. You're going to be behind a lot of teams that started off with, like the elite quarterbacks, your top like 11, but he's still going to be really good. At the end of the day, you could still start Cousins. You could start like Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford, Justin Fields, Derek Carr. You could still start all these guys in like your regular, if they're both on the same team. If you're only in 2 leagues, if that's what you were getting at, you're saying I'm only in a 12 and a 14 team league, and I have both of these guys, I prefer not to do that. So I typically play in 3 to 4 leagues. I would like it to where I diversify. So if you're only in 2 leagues, I probably wouldn't just draft, the exact same quarterback, exact same 10 in multiple. But that's the only issue that I would have. I think they're fine players to have. I hope also that if you went with Cousins or Smith, you're dominating your running backs and wide receivers because you waited so long for both those positions. You have the 4th pick in a 10-team 3 wide receiver full PPR format. You're keeping Chase in the 6th round. Excellent work. At the 4th pick, should you lean running back or wide receivers? Adams would be the best available with your rankings. Well, I'd like to know if it's a keeper league. I don't know. Broderick Cook. Let me know. Well, who do you think the running backs are going to be? If it's everyone's keeping a 1st round running back and we're looking at the 2nd round, maybe I do want you to start off with a wide receiver, even though you already have Jamar Chase. Kind of tough to know if it's a keeper league. I need to know who the rest is being kept. You guys, we have a few more spots. We've got 3 more spots. One more spot. So if anyone wants to join in, now's your chance. Marlon Mack was cut. Yeah, we know that. We already went over it. Hometown league, which draft position do you think is better, 6 or 10? So at 6, there's a huge chance you start off with one of Jamar Chase, Austin Eckler, or your pick of Dalvin Cook, Najee Harris. At 10, honestly, I probably like 10 a little bit more because you're pretty much guaranteed at that spot you're going to get 2 really good running backs. Obviously, we prefer top 3, top 4 picks, but no, I think I would prefer 10 over 6 because 6 is tough if it goes the way we think. You're kind of starting off that running back tier and not getting as good a value in that 2nd round pick. At 10, you're still getting, a really, I have the 1 pick. You're still getting a really good running back, both picks. And I think it'll work out. You're going to be set up nicely with Pitts maybe in the 3rd round, but if not, you're going to get a really good wide receiver. So yeah, I think 10 I would prefer. You have the 2nd pick, and you really don't know what to do in the 1st round. You take whichever one of Christian McCaffrey or I'm going to do this in a second. You take whichever one of Christian McCaffrey or Jonathan Taylor is still on the board. And in the 2nd round, you're probably going to have your choice of either Javonte Williams or Leonard Fournette. If you don't have that choice at running back, it likely means that all the elite running backs are gone, in which case you can go with Andrews if he fell, Kelsey if he fell, if not wide receiver, and probably then another wide receiver in round 3. But hopefully you get one of Javonte Williams or Leonard Fournette to pair on with one of those 2 running backs. It's pretty standard setup. It's really, really advantageous to have a top 2 pick this season. Breece Hall will have a Jonathan Taylor-like rookie year down the stretch in the playoffs, easiest schedule. I can't verify easiest strength of schedule for running backs down the stretch. I'm assuming you've done your research. You know that answer. I don't think that take is outlandish. And that's kind of why I like to, maybe tell people to pump the brakes a little bit when it comes to Michael Carter. Michael Carter is going to start the season and everyone's going to panic on Breece Hall. I promise you, everyone's going to see Breece Hall's workload in week 1 and be like, oh no, what have I done? I drafted him too early. I wouldn't be too concerned about that. He's a fantastic talent. He's much better than Michael Carter. But they're going to start the season with, Carter kind of as that lead back. What I do think is going to happen, though, is kind of like what you said. I mean, with Jonathan Taylor's rookie year, I want to say Breece Hall is not Jonathan Taylor. They're different talents. But, Jonathan Taylor wasn't some stud to start off, and then he just, exploded because that's kind of what happens to rookies at times. So, yeah, I can get behind that take. I don't think he's going to have a Jonathan Taylor-like second half, but I think that Breece Hall is probably going to be someone that very often shows up in the running back trade targets video because I think he's going to start slow and I think he's going to outproduce what people think later on. Campbell or Alec Pierce as the wide receiver 2 in Indy? That's a great question. I mean, in the traditional sense, I think Alec Pierce, as far as I think Paris Campbell plays more from the slot. In terms of second wide receiver I want on my fantasy team, I would say I would prefer to draft Alec Pierce. Number one, because, you know, Campbell just has a very difficult time staying healthy throughout his career. And even when he is healthy, like, we haven't seen him dominate. And I think he's going to be used very well. I think he's going to be like outproducing his ADP when healthy. But really, Alec Pierce, like, you know, they're very excited about him, his downfield role, his red zone role. He can have a really, really good season. He's got very nice upside. And it just feels like if one of them's going to hit their ceiling, Alec Pierce feels like the kind of player that could hit his ceiling a little bit more often than Paris Campbell. Maybe it's that unknown factor, but then also I trust his health more than I do with Paris Campbell. You're in a league that has positional limits. That's unfortunate. You'll have to drop a running back to pick one up. Okay. Dameon Pierce is on the waiver wire. Chase, what kind of league are you in? So you basically have to choose between Chase Edmonds and Dameon Pierce? That's absurd. What do you only allow? 2 running backs? All right, well, you didn't tell me the scoring. I'm just going to do this for half PPR scoring. I have Dameon Pierce as a mid-4th rounder, Chase Edmonds as an early 5th rounder. I'll pull up PPR just in case so we don't have to go back to this question. In full PPR scoring, it's much closer, but it's still Dameon Pierce. So I would prefer, drop him and add Pierce. That's just very unfortunate that you have that kind of format. All right, I'll pull up the draft board after we make our turn pick here. Obviously, we want one of Javonte Williams, Leonard Fournette. I have a feeling that will not happen, especially both these teams went wide receiver. They should be drafting two running backs here. They do not. Okay, all we need is one here. Don't do it to me. I want Leonard Fournette at this spot. If we don't, we're probably just going to double dip with like Pittman and T. I don't really see another option for us. We wanted to go with Chubb, we could, but that really stinks. Yeah, I really would like. I like those starts that have Taylor and McCaffrey, and then one of those 2 great running backs. But totally fine. Well, I'm just kind of thinking through. Yeah, let's just take these. Pittman, T. Higgins, beautiful. We talked about them in the video. Did I mess that up? I was gonna say we talked about them in that video, and I had AJ Brown. I'm fairly confident I did not change the rankings, so part of me thinks that I did not upload the latest rankings into it, because I definitely had AJ Brown ahead of both of them. But if we had to do that over, I probably would have moved that up. Maybe I should have downloaded the latest rankings. I thought I moved. Let me pull it up. What's the projection difference? Yeah, so I just didn't save the latest rankings. So the rankings should have AJ Brown, then Pittman, then T. Higgins. I just assumed that I had grabbed the correct ones, and I did not. So relatively unfortunate on my end, but you know what? They're so close in projections, as I said in the video. I'd be fine with either one of them, but that is why I did what I did there, because I did not realize that. All right. More questions. Thoughts on Michael Thomas this year? Seems to have much higher upside than everyone else. I said to do this. There you guys go. I like him. Let's pull up the half PPR rankings. I think that I liked him more. So he was going a lot later, and then he really started to like creep up a lot in drafts. So I have him. I still have him as a value. So he goes as a wide receiver 30 in half PPR scoring. I have him as a wide receiver 25. That's like that 5th and 6th round turn. It's really going to depend on the basically what you're drafting under, what format you're in. That's the Underdog ranking, but I don't know what different platforms are really doing with him. But I like him a lot. I'm not like all in because I'm not 100% sure that he's going to be healthy. And we also have to factor in the last time he was going off, he has Drew Brees as quarterback. He has 0 target competition. Like, obviously he's got, a much worse quarterback play. He's got much more target competition. Like, Landry's no scrub. Olave is a very good prospect. Alvin Kamara is going to command out of the backfield. Like, he's got target competition. So he's, it's not like he's playing with pushovers, right? So from that sense, his ceiling is not obviously what he used to, but if his ceiling was what it used to be, he'd be a 1st-round pick. So you have to kind of factor those 2 things in. Like, the situation is significantly worse and is an injury risk, but that's why you're not getting him in the first, second, third round. That's why he goes in that like sixth, seventh round range. I think at that point, that's the range where there's a lot of good wide receivers. But if we look by ADP, let me sort by ADP. We're looking at the ones going before him are Brandon Cooks, who I agree with should go before him, Rashad Bateman, Moner St. Brown, Chris Godwin, DK Metcalf, then Michael Thomas, then Darnell Mooney, and then Elijah Moore. That's kind of like the ADP. And I get Brandon Cooks. I understand Bateman. I mean, I have him projected within like half a point of each other, so that's totally fine. I understand Moner St. Brown. That one's fine. Godwin, it's like he's going to start the season a little bit injured, so there's merit to saying, well, Michael Thomas is more healthy than Godwin right now if we're going to use the injury excuse. And then DK Metcalf, like, you can use the situation downgrade excuse with Michael Thomas, but look at the quarterback downgrade going to DK Metcalf. I mean, from Russell Wilson to what's looking like Geno Smith. That's a huge downgrade. Also, I think it seems like New Orleans is going to be a little bit more pass heavy than people think this season. Maybe that doesn't end up being true, but from what I have heard, that's what's going to happen. And so not as pass heavy as they were in the Breeze, but still going to be a good offense. So Brees or Pierce, that's got to be. I say it's got to be. It's Brees Hall, but it's not by a lot. So Brees Hall, 204.2. I got to sort by value again, so we're not just pulling up ADPs. Brees Hall, 204.2 for the projection, half PPR scoring. About 8 points less for Pierce. So I would still draft Brees Hall. Also, Brees Hall is the better talent. But you know what? He looked really good in the preseason, talking about Pierce there. But yeah, I'd still take Brees Hall. You took Chase with the 7th overall pick. Higgins fell to you at 4-6. Should you be trying to trade Higgins or let it ride with them both? Nah, just let it ride for now. If you really don't feel comfortable with that, and you want to go into the season like waiting for a spiked week, there's gonna be a 3 game stretch where like T Higgins goes nuclear, where he has 150 to score and then like 90 and 2 scores. Like that's just gonna happen at some point. If you want to trade him, then do it. I wouldn't trade it now. Like you got significant value. It clearly means that people in your league don't value him as highly as they should, since he fell that far. And so wait for him to go off, and then if you still don't like it, don't take him, right? All right, we're almost up. We've got our headliner act here, Jonathan Taylor, and then we've got Michael Pittman Jr. and T. Higgins. Look at the tight end position. No real good values. 5th round is fine if you want to start taking Waller, but it's not that great of value, and so we're not gonna do that one. Wide receivers, I love Brandon Cooks. That's definitely an option. Not in love with actually the rest of the wide receivers here, so that's not great. Running backs, we've got Dillon, we've got Montgomery, we've got Pierce. So, okay. Are we going to double dip at running back here? Part of me wants to. We go with Mahomes. We don't have a stacking partner, though. We should have paid more attention to the draft here. We're going to want quarterback there late. Oh, no. Okay. This is not a good spot for me. But I think we take Dillon, so we'll let that one ride. What do we do after that, though? Do we take Waller? I don't want to reach for Mooney here. I feel good about those 2 running backs. I don't want to reach for running back here either. So it's like, do I take Mahomes and find a stacking partner later, or do I take Waller? Let's do Mahomes. So we know we're not going to get Waller with the next pick. I think Mahomes there makes sense. He's also an easy player to... I'll pull this back up. We can stack later. So I know that we didn't get like Kelsey. That would obviously be like the best stack you can do. And I don't... But yeah, Juju is off the board in the early 4th round, so we're not going to get him. But we can try and get Sky Moore. We can try and get Mecole Hardman or like MVS. We could go with like the running back stack. We could take Clyde. We could take Pacheco. I'm not in love with like Pacheco, McKinnon, because Ronald Jones wasn't cut today. I was factoring that into the projections. I thought that he was going to get cut. And so seeing that not happen, it gives you a little bit more pause with the backups. So I still think Clyde's the locked in one. So really, I mean, we're looking at Clyde. Um, and I feel like MVS and Hardman for that upside. I'm really not in love with Moore. So we'll see what we end up doing. We definitely should try and find a stacking partner. I know that Mahomes is definitely going to have plenty of weeks where he can like go off, and it's not necessary that like one person went off with him. Like he could throw a touchdown pass to Kelsey, one to Juju, one to Sky Moore, and like 400 yards, and no one necessarily needed to be started. I feel like that could happen a lot this season with how much they're going to like spread the ball around. But optimally, we want to try and find one stacking partner. So team's looking good so far. Again, we should have drafted AJ Brown if I put in the correct ranking. So we should have AJ Brown and Michael Pittman Jr. here. But we don't. We have Michael Pittman Jr. and T. Higgins, and then Jonathan Taylor with A.J. Dillon, and then Patrick Mahomes. So I think a really solid start for us. It's very likely we do a build here that is only going to be 4, maybe 5 running backs. So we can kind of factor that in. We're going to have some opportunities late to like, basically at this point, we're going to triple tight end, just like triple late round tight ends. We don't need to think about that for a while. So 3 late tight ends, a lot of wide receivers, but we still want running back. Like it's still going to be a position that if we're going to do the 4 or 5, we're still going to need a few of them, but I'm sure we'll have an opportunity. All right, let's see how many questions we got here. Will Allen, Diggs, Gabriel Davis stack work? They all fell at a value. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming you're talking underdog. We're kind of doing that here. And redrafted, honestly, be fine as well. The Bills are going to be such a good offense this season. Like, they're going to have so many games where they score 30, 35, 40 points. And a lot of that's coming through the air. We know Josh Allen's going to have a few 40 burgers. We know that Gabriel Davis is probably going to have multiple games where he scores multiple touchdowns. Like, yeah, an Allen, Diggs, Gabriel Davis stack is going to work this season. It's going to be very, very valuable. $1,000 team, 12-team draft, but your bench has to mirror your lineup in terms of number of players? What? So you're saying you start like one quarterback, you have to have. Doesn't even make sense. I don't even know what that really means. The bench has to mirror your lineup in terms of number of players. You're in a very weird league, but I don't think your strategy is really changing all that much. You're still just drafting, the best players based off the rankings, and then when you get to the end, you probably want to build evenly. You don't want to like abandon a position, but I've never heard of that format. It doesn't make any sense to me. You have Jamar Chase as your keeper, and you have the number 2 overall pick. Would you take McCaffrey or go with Kupp and dominant receiver? No, you already have a dominant receiver. Go with McCaffrey. Like, there's less value to you in taking a second dominant receiver. That would just be for like the looks of your team. Like, take McCaffrey. Now you have McCaffrey and Jamar Chase. That's like awesome. Thoughts on Patterson this season in 1 PPR? I don't love it. I'm actually curious what the cuts were. I didn't see for Atlanta. How many running backs did they keep? I'm curious. I don't think they're going to trade for someone. Someone had mentioned that on like Discord or something like that. Trading for like Madison, trading for Kareem Hunt. To me, that makes no sense because we know Atlanta is rebuilding. So why would they like Madison? Madison's not holding out, but Madison wants a new contract. And so whatever team is going to acquire him is probably going to be the one that's giving him that new contract. And that it doesn't make any sense for Atlanta to be that team. Like, they're not going to win now. They're not going to win next season. So why would you give a running back? Like, it doesn't make any sense, especially drafting a running back this season. Like, if anything, Atlanta's going to see if Algier is like the future, and if not, there's a good running back class next season. They'll see what's there. So I don't think Atlanta's going to take him. I don't even remember what the question was. Oh yeah, Patterson. Like, it's the same take. It's like I don't see why. Hold on, let's think about these picks here. We like Edmonds. We love Elijah Moore. That would probably be my pick. I'm not going to draft a tight end. There goes Elijah Moore every time. So Amari Cooper's been like tanking in drafts. I don't 100% know why. I feel like we just take Chase Edmonds and Amari Cooper. I think we'll definitely take Edmonds. So we'll start with that. I don't think, no, because I would say I think we should wait for Matt Ryan. We have Taylor and Pittman. I think it makes sense for us to wait for Matt Ryan. If not, we can do something else. So I don't think I want to take a quarterback here. I don't think we need any of these running backs. I feel like it's Amari Cooper. But, I was saying, I don't know why Amari Cooper has been cratering. I think he's down to the wide receiver 40. I was out on Cooper earlier in the summer. I think I put him in the fade video. But that was when his ADP was I think it was the end of round 5. We just got him in round 7. So I don't know why his ADP is dropping so much. To get him as your third wide receiver, I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, especially in this format. His best week's are going to come at the end of the season. I guess, we're not in an advancing one, so I guess that doesn't even really matter as much. But I don't really know why Amari Cooper's dropping a ton. They like David Bell. David Bell's a good talent, but Cooper's still the one, so I don't know why he's going so low now. But anyways, Patterson, no. I don't really want Patterson that much. He doesn't fit their plans. He's not a future play. Why would they be giving him touches? It doesn't make any sense. How confident in Waddle this season? If he was 100% healthy, I'd be very confident. He has not been practicing much recently. I don't know if he practiced today, but it's been a while since they've seen him on the practice field. I think he tried to practice maybe half a week ago, and then he kind of walked off the field with tightness. So I feel very confident that when he is healthy, he's going to have a large target share, that he's going to be a very, very, very good match. Half PPR, non-keeper league, but only tight end is full PPR. So it's a semi-tight end premium league. How early should you target tight end? Just a little bit earlier. So again, you're basically in tight end premium. If you wanted to use the tight end premium rankings, you could, but tight end premium rankings assume PPR scoring. So I probably would just use half PPR and bump up the tight ends a little bit. Basically, let's see. This is pretty close to redraft. So it also depends on the format you're on. On ESPN, these tight ends go a little bit later in that second round. It would basically just be if Kelsey's ADP is usually around 17, 18, 19, he would go more in this range, more at the turn. So maybe a half a round kind of bump them up. But once it's the same in theory though. Once you get past Kelsey, Andrews, Pitts, Waller, and Kittle, it's not we should be bumping up all the other tight ends a bunch. It still follows that same general strategy. Theoretically, they bump up a little bit more also because you could start one in the flex. So if you happen to grab Pitts, and then you also got Knox later, someone like that, and they were performing really well, and you looked at the projections and you're oh, wow, I think this person could play in my flex spot. It's just more likely that'll happen. In a normal setting, it's relatively unlikely that anyone is starting a tight end in the flex spot. Unless your team's terrible, in a normal setting, you're not doing that. And so half a round kind of feels like a good amount to bump them up. But theoretically, okay, now let me think about this more. If you're in half PPR and they're full PPR for tight ends, that's 100% increase, right? In a standard tight end premium league, you go from full point for everyone else to 1.5. That's only a 50% increase. So you'd actually bump them up more than a tight end premium league. So let me pull up just a 2 wide receiver, 12 team tight end premium. Let's do just a generic setup like that. I want to see how early tight ends kind of go in that one. Okay, so it's kind of what I said. It's like half a round, maybe a little bit more than half a round, but about half a round increase. Okay, so under that format, Kelsey's probably a mid first round pick. Andrews is probably a late first round pick. Pitts is a mid second round pick. Waller in that late second round. Kittle in that mid third round. And then you're waiting a while until you get that Hawkinson, Schultz around the late fifth. That would be my general take. Everyone else probably 1 round. Let's say 1 round increase for everyone else. All right, we're almost on the clock. Let's try and make this one a good one. Quarterbacks, no. I'm getting really good value with Tom Brady, so we can queue him up, but I don't know. I feel like it doesn't benefit our team because I don't even have a stacking partner with him right now, so I don't think it benefits us all that much. Running back, We already have 3. We'd very much prefer to get a good value with this pick. Harris is not a bad value. Hunt's not a bad value, but it's like fine. Wide receiver, Lockett and Rondell Moore. Okay. I feel like, what's our next pick? Our next pick is at 121. Probably can't get Rondell Moore. I feel like Lockett's not bad. Good tight end. Ew, man, this is gross. All right. I actually think, Damian Harris, I feel like. Let's take Harris, and then I think we would take Lockett. I don't know, because basically, and this is a theoret. Now, I would take another. I'd take 5 total running backs. I think we can get a better running back at another point in the draft when we like a little bit more at value. I kind of want to just take Tyler Lockett here. Yeah, let's take Tyler Lockett. Could have gone with Kareem Hunt there and finished off the running back position. Maybe it made a little bit of sense to do. But I didn't want to finish it off completely, and I didn't see anything at tight end or quarterback that we needed. Again, we're going to probably try and get Matt Ryan at quarterback. We're going to draft 3 late tight ends. We're probably going to draft 1 more running back. And again, I don't think we need to invest a lot of capital in that position, so I think we can wait a bit for that last running back spot. So I think we're basically looking at tight end and wide receiver with this next pick. Probably should have scrolled down in the rankings and taken MVS. That would have made a little bit more sense. Maybe we'll look for a Chiefs player in the next one. Mixon, Cook, or Swift if they fall to me at the 4 pick. Okay, so that was the person who it's in the keeper league. Okay. So I have to scroll up. I don't remember who we were talking about. Okay. What? It's the same one. I thought you were the person that was the keeper league. Now I'm trying to find your original question. There have been a lot more questions than I thought there were. Okay. Now I have to find the players again. Okay. Mixon, Cook, or Swift do they fall to at 4? Cook. I would prefer Cook in that setup. Would you rather have Gabriel Davis or Michael Thomas at wide receiver 2 in full PPR redraft? Of course, I got rid of the full PPR rankings when I went to get the tight end premium rankings. We'll load those up right now. MVS still on the board. I mean, okay, there he goes. Every time I mention a player's name, they get taken. So we need to stop talking about anyone. What was the question? Gabriel Davis, Michael Thomas. Full PPR, they are right next to each other. Gabriel Davis, 234 projection. Michael Thomas, 233.1. If you were talking to me about ceiling, which player has the highest ceiling out of those two, I honestly think it's Gabriel Davis. The dude could have 15 touchdowns, even in full PPR. I think my lean is towards him. 1,400 total views here. 400 people looking at it right now. 60 likes. Let's get that ratio a little bit higher. You're all in on Gabe Davis? Yeah. The touchdown, I mean, he could have an absolutely monster season. Should you trade Hopkins for Dillon? Well, it depends what your running back situation is and your wide receiver situation. I wouldn't want to be killing your wide receiver depth, but holding everything equal, if you haven't even like a remotely normal team, I'm thinking you're going with A.J. Dillon there. So yeah, I would trade Hopkins away for Dillon if that's, the setup you're talking about there. Hopkins away for him. Looks like we have super chat. 12th pick, full PPR, 1 running back, 2 wide receiver, only one running back format. Okay. How would you draft in this scenario? Thinking RB0 build. Any advice would be appreciated. My league mates adjusted the setting to favor wide receivers. I would probably go hero RB instead of our pure RB0. I would still want to have 1 running back. It looks like you didn't list you listed 2 flex. Okay, so yeah. So you can start, It's full PPR. You can start 4 wide receivers and 1 running back. So if you did want to go RB0, load up on wide receivers, load up on tight end, grab a good quarterback, running back is such a small percent of your scoring each week, that's fine. But you still do need to start one. And so if you wanted to start off with 1 elite running back, then do all that with wide receiver, I think that's a little bit better because there's still only so many players you can start. And everyone's going to have to start running back. And so you'd still prefer to have like a Dalvin Cook, an Eckler, like someone like that you're just easily starting every week, then go with all those other positions. So I would do hero RB, probably round 1 or 2. I don't really care which one. Grab a running back. But our pick is up next. Henderson could be our last running back. Henderson, Madison are in consideration here. I like McKenzie. I like Jahan Dotson. They're not going to be there at our next picks. So that also has me thinking I really would like both of them. Tight ends, no one has fallen. There goes McKenzie. Every single time I have mentioned a player, took Fournette before me, took Elijah Moore before me, took McKenzie before me. What are we doing here? All right. I think we start off with Henderson and maybe go Dotson. Because I don't like anything at tight end. We can grab 3 later on. Yeah, let's do Henderson as our first one. I would say we could go with one of these players, but we also don't have a stack. If it created a natural stack, I'd be fine going quarterback here. It doesn't, so I don't see the need to. Dotson or Madison? I don't think we need to take Madison. Again, I think we can wait. Oh, no, we took Henderson. We don't need Madison. Yeah, so we're good. Dotson. All right. Nice. That worked out. Good. But yeah, to finish off the thoughts there, if you go pure RB0, it's totally fine. You can dominate wide receiver, dominate tight end, like all that stuff. Just know that you are still going to have to start a running back, and so don't completely abandon it. I prefer hero. What round should we be targeting in a 10-team half PPR Yahoo? What late rounders? Watch tomorrow's video. So in tomorrow's video, I go through ESPN, Sleeper, Yahoo, and NFL.com, and I point out who the best picks are on all of those formats when we're looking at my rankings compared to the pre-draft rankings on all those sites. So if you want late round players, definitely go to that one. There's also a page on the site where it gives you more names to target and avoid. I don't remember what tab it's under. It's under draft content, then worst and best pick by site. And then you can just go to Yahoo and see that one. But tomorrow's video is going to go through like the best ones for each one. What are your thoughts on Dalton Schultz? Will he be a top 5 or 7 tight end this year? So yeah, I think people think I hate Dalton Schultz. I don't hate Schultz. I think he's a very good player. I think he's very valuable. My issue is just his ADP is in the middle rounds, and I want those wide receivers so much. And I don't think the drop-off when you go from Schultz to like all the other options later on is significant enough. And I do think, there's a drop-off between the elite tight ends and Schultz. So, like him as a player, like his upside, but I very, very rarely draft him because there's always, like you guys saw, when I was on the board for the wide receivers, like we weren't even considering tight end at that spot. It's just, it's not optimal to draft tight end in that range, so I don't want to do it. Looks like we got another super chat. Your preferred draft strategy for my 10-team full PPR draft. 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex. So a very standard setup. Positional limits. You can only roster 4 total running backs, 4 total wide receivers. You're thinking that you really need a top quarterback and tight end, so it separates 1K league entry. My goodness, high roller here. So, thoughts. One thing, because everyone is capped at the running back and wide receiver positions, and because we know we can find really good options in like those mid and late rounds, it's not, I'll put it this way. You're in a 10-team league. That means 40 can even be drafted. 40 running backs, 40 wide receivers. So if I pull up the full PPR rankings and I go to running back, the 40th running back is Henderson. So the last running backs drafted in this draft, well, in general, will be like Hines, Gordon, Patterson, James Cook, Madison, Henderson, Singletary, like kind of like those players. So given that there's not like a huge difference between that group and it basically like the last 20, it's like the top 20 and then everyone else. I mean, yes, you want the elite running backs and wide receivers, or you want elite running backs and wide receivers, but you're still going to get fine ones if you wait until like the very end because it's capped. There can only be so many that get taken, and especially at the wide receiver position. I mean, the 40th best wide receiver is Devonta Smith, and it basically means that like Hopkins and like Christian Kirk, they might go undrafted. Like you still, if you wait till the very end, are going to get your choice between Ayuk, Tony, Lazard, like just these incredible options. And because that's the case, who cares? Like save those picks for the very end. You're still going to have really, really good options. So I would say you're probably all in on elite quarterback and elite tight end. I think you're right with that one. I would make it an absolute, like just as much as you possibly can. Kelsey, Andrews, Pitts, Waller. I guess you can throw Kittle in there as well. And I would really focus on those top three. Kelsey, Andrews, Pitts. Get one of them because, again, it's not going to, impact you as much losing out on that pick for running back and wide receiver because even if you wait until the very end, you're still going to get solid options. Now, it doesn't mean just go like tight end quarterback right off the bat. Like you still need elite players in those positions to win. Like teams that have McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley and Mike Evans are still going to crush you if you're starting Dylan and Dameon Pierce, which would still be like good, but they're still going to crush you. So even though there's really good options later on, you're still going to need those players. So I would still kind of think round 1 is probably reserved for running back. Round 2 might be Kelsey or Andrews. Round 3 is definitely a lean towards Kyle Pitts. And once you get into that like 4th, 5th round range, like I'm still probably leaning towards those elite quarterbacks. Just don't think that it means like round 1 and 2 need to be quarterback and tight end. Okay, so we're almost on the clock here. We don't have a tight end yet. Hunter Henry and Njoku are two that we like. We've still not completed our stack. At this point, I have very little faith that we're going to. We like Osborne a lot as a player, and I actually do see kind of a drop-off into the rest of these players. Running back, one would need to like knock our socks off, and then he takes Osborne. Is the same man? Same man, every time I say a name. All right. We're not going to take a running back here. We're probably going to have to take Matt Ryan, which is fine because I don't think I need both Hunter Henry and Matt Ryan and Njoku. I'd like Njoku, though. Okay, let's actually think about those two because I think we got to take Matt Ryan. I know it's a little bit of a reach, but we're not going to get him our next pick. And because we have Jonathan Taylor and Pittman, I just think it makes too much sense to grab him. Am I making a grave mistake with not getting a KC wide receiver? I am not. Okay. Who do I like more between Hunter Henry? You just haven't heard anything from Henry? I feel like Henry maybe would be getting more hype if we just like heard anything. Part of me is like, well, maybe I haven't heard anything because he hasn't been that great, but pretty locked in. They cut both Keen and it's like Asiasi or whatever it is. Both of their tight ends they drafted early for like some dumb reason. What was that, like 2 years ago or something like that? It's obviously, Hunter Henry and Johnny Smith. Smith's going to be more active this season. I think 13th round for Henry. He's going to score touchdowns. Don't love that I'm stacking a little bit of Patriots here, but I think I like Henry a little bit more than Njoku, but I still love Njoku. Someone's going to get him at a really good value in this round. What are we doing for the rest of this draft? Let's pull back up our team here. So we're done at quarterback. I didn't even check the bye weeks. Good thing that didn't, end up killing us. So we're done at quarterback. I think we're done at running back. Taylor, A.J. Dillon, Chase Edmonds, Damian Harris, Darrell Williams. We've got the double bye week here, but it's fine. All these other ones don't have the same bye week. I think we're done there. I like that running back core. Wide receivers, thin. So this is the one we need to really hammer out some high weekly upside wide receivers. because we have Pittman, Higgins, Cooper, Lockett, and Dotson. Now, having said that, Cooper's a high weekly upside wide receiver. Lockett is going to have like no floor, but he's going to be someone who's probably going to have like 2 games where he has 10 for 100 touchdown. T. Higgins obviously has a high ceiling. So I like the receivers that we do have in their ceilings, but everyone else obviously is not going to be as good of a talent. And we need to target weekly upside. We need to target people who get the ball downfield, basically. Okay. You said running back is the best strategy. So would you go Cook or Mixon over Chase in a 10-man, 2 wide receiver, 2 running back, 1 flex league? Don't think you said you said the format and then it scrolled. Half PPR. No, I don't think I would personally. I do like how drafts turn out more at that running back spot. I mean, at the end of the day, it's 6.7 for the value for Chase. For Dalvin Cook, it's 6.3. Like, it's very, very close. I would say do the mocks. That's what I always tell people, and people like freak out about what they need to do. Do mock drafts right now. Go right now while you're watching this. For the rest of this video, go to Fantasy Pros, put in your scoring, like your site. Couldn't think of the word. So like ESPN, Yahoo, NFL, whatever you're on, put that in. Do drafts that have you starting off with Chase. Do drafts that have you starting off with Dalvin Cook. I kind of did that at the 3 pick as part of like that mock draft Monday yesterday, and it did kind of work out a lot better for us starting off with the running back. So I think it's totally fine. I would just make sure you do them. Don't like have not done any drafts and think that you're going to like make the best decision for you, because there might be some players you prefer or don't prefer in the middle rounds that I do, and it's like your team might end up being a little bit different. All this is to say, I think it is fine to do that. If you want to take Cook, you want to take Mixon over Jamar Chase, I think it is fine. Projection-wise, it doesn't work out as well. And you're probably going to have, if you're looking at that spot, you're probably at that like 5-6 pick. You probably will have a running back option in round 2. So it's not as risky as the Jefferson pick, because then you might not get running back in that second round at that spot. But you're probably going to have like an Aaron Jones, a Saquon, a Leonard Fournette, a Javonte Williams in round 2. So it's still fine. But yeah, it's really a personal preference. I don't think the rankings are all that different. So it seems like you want to, so do it if you want to. Woods is old, coming off an ACL, never been a wide receiver 1, bad quarterback situation. I feel like you're referring to something. I'm assuming that comment was referring to something else that I don't know about. Oh, I think people are arguing about Robert Woods, maybe. I feel like that's what's happening right now. I like Woods. Yes, he's coming off the ACL. He's probably not going to be as good. To say he's never been a wide receiver 1, I mean, he was still the outside wide receiver for the Rams when Kupp was playing out of the slot a lot. And he was still really good. He performed like high-end 2s. And like you do typically get him around pick 100. So, yeah, not a good offense. Not an offense I love, but, you know, I like Robert Woods. He's performing way better than Burks. Burks is like the 4th wide receiver right now. We'll get to that super chat after I do this like turn pick. So if we're looking for upside, obviously Christian Watson has upside, especially because his literal role is deep downfield. There goes Christian Watson. Paris Campbell makes sense for us to pick here to complete the stack. We're going to capitalize a lot on those different spike tweaks, get like that extra benefit. So we'll probably end up taking Paris Campbell here. I don't really want Kenny Golladay, for being completely honest. I think I'd go with Van Jefferson. I feel like I keep tanking him, and then he keeps just like tanking in ADP, so I have to tank him even more. He has not looked fantastic. I don't really want him on the team. I'd probably take him at that next turn, but not this one. But yeah, I think Paris Campbell makes sense for us to take here. We've got Pittman, Campbell. Yeah, I think it makes sense. We're basically betting on the Colts for this team. And then Van Jefferson. Recovering really nicely. He would be going earlier if there was more news about him. It's been very quiet, but it seems like he's going to be back very early in the season and potentially in week 1. And he's a guy that gets work downfield. He's still the wide receiver 3. He's going to see the field like pretty much every single play when he's, fully back to 100%. Yeah, he's going to have a low floor, but I don't care about that in Underdog. I just want someone who's occasionally going to hit for a long touchdown. And that is what Van Jefferson is. Duvernay goes at 170. I've been getting a sickening amount of him in like basically the 17th or 18th round. So I think maybe this is a little bit early, but I've been getting a lot of Duvernay late in drafts, like a lot. Like he's becoming one of my most owned wide receivers. All right, super chat. 10-team PPR, hometown league. Would you rather start Justin Jefferson, Alvin Kamara? We're going to do like 12 names here. Okay. Justin Jefferson, Alvin Kamara, Javonte Williams. That's a beautiful start. Then DJ Moore and Kittle. I love that. Yeah. Or Justin Jefferson, Kelsey, Javonte Williams, Travis Etienne, Cortland Sutton. So you have one wide receiver in both leagues. I'll say almost like Sutton more than you got him earlier. So one team has Kelsey, one team has Kittle. So obviously that leans team 2. Running backs in one of the team are Javonte Williams and Etienne, the team that has Kelsey, versus Kamara and Javonte Williams as well. So it's basically just upgrading. So basically, is it worth upgrading from Kittle to Kelsey in order to downgrade from Etienne, or from Kamara, I guess, to Etienne? Interesting. I'm not in love with Kittle. I think he's fine. I'm not in love with him. And I honestly, if you think you can get Sutton in the next round, I'd rather Sutton in round 5 over Moore in round 4. So that has me leaning towards this second build. I'm losing a little bit of confidence in Etienne, but I always go back to like the Achilles injury. Like this is an injury that like no one recovers from. We just saw Marlon Mackey cut today. It's another loss for Achilles people. I really think Etienne can be solid. And Kelsey is just such a different. And if you're listing this and you have Sutton in 5, that means I feel like you're drafting on ESPN. There's going to be awesome values, but you can never get Travis Kelsey. It's just what you come back to. You can never get Kelsey, Andrews, Pitts. You can't find those guys in the mid and late rounds. You just can't do it. So if you can just lock that in, you've got Jefferson, Javonte Williams. I think I would go with the Kelsey route. And I know it's scary probably starting off with Jefferson, Kelsey, if you can get Williams in that second or the third round, really. Yeah, I think I like that one more. Second team. Should you drop Garrett Wilson for Alec Pierce? I'll look up both of their rankings. I feel like no. Even dropping Garrett Wilson recently in the rankings, where do I have him? So even I dropped him recently and I have him as overvalued, I would still rather Garrett Wilson. He's a better talent than Alec Pierce. I know the situation isn't as good, but like he is a really good talent. He's going to be that second best wide receiver. They're going to have to throw the ball a lot because they're going to be down so much. No. Again, I like Pierce. I feel like I like Pierce more on Underdog to capture those like spikes. Garrett Wilson's still a better player, so I would not do that, no. Okay. Let's pull up tight end as well. So we like Brevin Jordan. Mo Alley Cox also, allows us to be stacking this team. I don't think I would draft. I think that's what we're looking at for tight ends. We have 2. We have 1. Okay. So we could double dip. We're at kind of a gross range for wide receiver where there's options I like here, but I don't really care which person I get. So I'm thinking we double dip at tight end, and I'm thinking we do it that way. Brevin Jordan, then Mo Alley Cox. Because, again, there's wide receivers I like, but I don't care which one of these dudes I get. So let's just wait. We'll take the final pick in the draft at wide receiver. Let's lock up our last 2 tight ends. We'll get different bye weeks for all 3 tight ends, so that's awesome. Morales like a weird one for me because he's like so locked in to that tight end 1 role. He's playing every single snap. He wasn't getting targeted, and that's like a weird concern you have. It's like if he's playing all these snaps, he's running these routes, why is he getting targeted? I think maybe that's just small sample size, but also he's going to be a red zone guy. And so, again, when I have a week where Matt Ryan does really well, if he hits Alec Pierce deep, well, I guess not Alec Pierce, scratch that. If he hits Paris Campbell deep, if he throws 2 touchdowns to Molly Cox, like my team is benefiting from those spikes and capturing them. So I like that there. I think he's only a best ball pick, though. I don't see really a world where you're relying on Molly Cox. He's not going to be highly targeted. It's just going to be random weeks for touchdowns. That's infuriating in a redraft league. So Underdog, best ball. He's a good pick. But But it's the same thing. Tight end guys. Many of these tight ends, it's like, yeah, I like them on Underdog. But could you tell me in a redraft league, if I had to start Mo Alley, Brevin Jordan, Evan Ingram, Tunyon, Gesicki, no. I can't start any of these guys in a redraft league. Maybe Njoku. Maybe Irv Smith. Maybe Pat Fairmouth. It's like maybe. But there's so many tight ends. If you're not taking tight end early, like you just take tight end early. And especially because in the vast majority of hometown leagues, you're going to find value. You're going to find awesome wide receivers. Running back's a little bit tougher to find late. That's why we like targeting that early. But target running back and target tight end early because there's so many awesome wide receivers late and middle. We can get quarterback in the middle rounds. You can't find those elite tight ends in the later round. You're just not going to. Has he already gone over the Kamara situation? Was that the question? I guess I don't know what question you're referring to. Oh, maybe the suspension? Yeah, I agree with Daro SM. I feel like unless the video surfaces, which weird that it hasn't because they definitely have the video, unless that comes out, it is pretty unlikely that Kamara will be suspended this season. If that drops, you might want to send trade offers if you have Kamara because he's getting suspended immediately. But I don't think he's being suspended this season because if someone was going to release the video, they'd have done it by now. How highly do you value tight ends and quarterbacks in an 8-team PPR league? Well, I have 8-team PPR rankings on the site. Definitely more because everyone's going to have like just sick wide receivers and running backs, but running back is still very important. Everyone's going to have high end ones, but like, if you have like, Lazard and Tony, like even though you can have great, depth everywhere else, like people are still going to crush you basically. If you wait till the middle rounds for wide receiver and being like, oh, everyone's going to have good wide receivers. It's like, yeah, but if someone has, Justin Jefferson and Mike Evans, they're going to crush you. So you still can't completely abandon running back and wide receiver, but they bump up. It's much more important to try and reach to get them. Any other question? First pick in a 10-team league. You like Saquon at the 2-3 turn, even with Jones Winfrey not available? Yeah, I have Saquon over all of them. And if you can get Saquon at that 2-3 turn, I think you got to just be doing it. Who are you going to take in the last pick? Probably Fuller. Yeah. I feel like Fuller just like adds a little bit of upside to the squad. I think we could get by with this team for wide receivers if we didn't have Fuller. But, adds a little bit of upside. So I'll pull that draft board up. I think it was this one, right? Yeah. There's the draft board for all of you. So running backs, Jonathan Taylor, Dillon, Edmonds, Harris, Henderson. It's a really strong core. Wide receivers, Pittman, Higgins, Cooper, Lockett, Dotson, Campbell, Van Jefferson, and Will Fuller. We got Mahomes with no stacking partner, so I don't love that. But this is not Best Ball Mania. It's not the puppy. It's not, Pomeranian. It is not the end of the world that we don't have a stacking partner. I'm only going up against these people. Mahomes is spread around. We do have the Matt Ryan stack with all those wide receivers, and then Hunter Henry, Brevin Jordan, Wally Cox. Can you upload custom scoring settings into the all-in package? 0.2 points per rushing yard for quarterbacks. Quarterbacks will go early. So you're basically getting twice as much value, which is stupid. Quarterbacks are already overvalued for rushing. Why would you add that in? No, I can't add like a new scoring thing to the site. It's already going to have too many rankings on it. I'll say next year, I think what I kind of want to do is build out something to where that would be possible. It wouldn't be on the site, but it would be like a kind of like a side attachment in like one of the Google Sheets where you'd be able to basically do that. You could paste in the overall rankings for the like the projections and everything, and then it would allow you to kind of change little things like that and then create the projections based off that. Kind of hesitating to do that because it would people would be able to see like the formulas, I guess, that go into creating the value, which I don't want. So we'll see if that ends up happening. But I guess like again, no, I'm not going to do that. But it's only obviously the mobile quarterbacks that will gain value, and not a whole lot really changes. It's not like you're going to start drafting quarterbacks in like the second and third round or anything. Like we're still targeting quarterback in that same general range. It's just anyone who has mobility shoots up boards. And I mean, like Lamar Jackson, I mean, becomes like uber valuable. Like obviously Josh Allen's probably still the number one. But it's like you want Josh Allen, you want Lamar, you want Kyler, Trey Lance, Justin Fields would be a great option for you. Like those would be like heavy targets for you. It doesn't make, but it doesn't make it. They're all getting it, so all the quarterbacks are getting that increase. It's not going to make it so that you're taking quarterbacks in rounds like 1 and 2. Like I wouldn't be doing that. I would still kind of focus on more of those mid-range quarterbacks. Like I don't want to be that first person that takes Josh Allen in that format. But yeah, that's kind of thought there. Just make sure they're mobile. Under no circumstance can you draft like Matt Ryan, Tom Brady even. Like you got to at least get someone who's going to run for like 300-400 yards. So look at the projections for that. Kind of make note of that. It's okay if you only take someone who's going to get like 300-400 yards. You don't need someone who's going to rush for 700-800, but you probably want someone who's going to rush for that much. So again, the names I mentioned: Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields, Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, Trey Lance. Wherever quarterbacks are kind of going, just try and make sure one of those guys is on your roster. Thank you for helping me out this offseason. Curious when you plan on putting out more week 1 content. So if you saw the week 1 content, rankings are up. DFS stuff probably going to be posted relatively soon. Understand that in week 1 there's less content because there's no waiver wire. So you just like don't need to be doing that. I'll post the like defense kind of streaming option page eventually. I would say today is Tuesday. Today's Tuesday. Tomorrow we're going to have it's going to be off-season content for best picks on every site. Thursday's worst picks on every site. Friday's some other off-season content. And I would probably say that Saturday and Sunday videos will be off-season. That would be my guess. But then once we hit the 5th, any video posted after that or on that day is going to be in-season content. So most of the things I post are going to be kind of around then. Again, there's no trade targets yet because we haven't even entered the season. I don't even think you guys should be trading right now. There's no waiver wire because there's no waiver wire right now. So it's really just like streaming. I don't even remember. I have all the things written down for what you kind of get for like all in. But I would say the props, all that kind of stuff, you should expect to see that on like the 5th, 6th, like in this general range. Maybe I start getting it up on the weekend, but early next week would kind of be that. And then like the rankings are up, but they're not going to be that fantastic. I still got to do a little bit more off-season content, adjust those rankings once we're finally, because we're basically like kind of done drafts, although I have drafts on the 6th and 7th. But once most people are done the drafts, that's when we're going to be doing that. But guys, I have a draft at 8, and we got 25 minutes until that has happened. I have not showered since working out today, so we need to end this stream here. Again, tomorrow's video is going to be awesome. You guys should watch that video. Best picks on every platform. Thursday video opposite. Worst picks on the different platforms. So definitely watch those videos. I don't know what's coming Friday, Saturday, Sunday, but it'll probably be off-season content. We will see though. So if you have not hit the like button, which about 2,000 of you have not done, do that. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button. Pretty sure all of you are returning subs, but hit the subscribe button. But I will catch you on the video tomorrow.